Hey everybody, welcome to Connect in Cannabis, brought to you by Wrazel. I, of course, am your host, Brian Holler. I am SVP of Business Development at Wrazel. Today we'll be talking with founder and CEO of Cannabis Club TV, Danny Keith. We'll be talking podcasting, strategies on content, tips, tricks, and just having a general fun conversation as well. Danny, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you.
Of course. Pleasure to have you. Thank you for being on, of course. I guess the first place to start, of course, is, what's Cannabis Club TV?
Cannabis Club TV is an in-dispensary broadcast platform. So we think Netflix or Hulu for cannabis, all cannabis-based content. And we broadcast that into dispensaries, roughly 1,200 dispensaries across the United States. And then, we interlace brand-based or cannabis-based advertisers into the mix to really kind of help the consumer connect with the brands right there at the point of sale, right when they're about to make a purchase.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess that also leads into your position at Enlighten, excuse me.
Yeah, we just did we did a merger, well, more or less a merger / acquisition in the latter part of the year in 2019. And I came on as their chief strategy officer, so I'm also a chief strategy officer for Enlighten, as well as still the CEO of Cannabis Club TV. So, it was a technology mix with content play. So just think like Comcast buying NBC.
Exactly. Yes. And actually, that actually leads me to so explain for people what Enlighten is, so that way they would see the kind of the simpatico there.
Absolutely. So Enlighten really is a technology company that has built a lot of great interactive things. So we have Showcase, which is like a buy online, pick up in the store, which is really popular right now during COVID.
Sure.
They also have an on-demand. So if you have limited screens in your store, but you want to be able to showcase all your different menus, you can use our device to switch between different menus, actually drill in and do content related stories for certain brands. So let's just say I'll pick Kiva, right? As a video for their product. You could be looking at the menu and then switch over to the video to educate the person. And then we do integrated smart menus and smart menu layouts. And then we broadcast our content on a normal TV with them. So the combination of our two companies really built the largest digital media company in cannabis.
Yeah, and it allows for a lot of very cool interconnectivity and interactivity, like you just said, especially right there on the spot. A lot of excellent opportunities for educating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we never before have we seen a category in an industry pop out where there's so many undereducated people that don't necessarily know what different categories can do for them, whether it be edibles, flower, vape, tinctures, especially right now as people are stressing out, maybe smoking flower is not the best thing for you. Maybe doing a tincture or a 1-to-1 E or a 30-to-1 CBD for that matter. Also, just a little educational tip for everybody. If you ever get too high, you could take CBD and it counterbalances the high so that you can come on down. I wish they had that for alcohol for most people. Because
right. Wouldn't that be a handy trick for some sort of alcohol?
Just crap, drop it in their glass real quick.
I had that one shot too many. Please help, God.
I need to sober up right now. Let's go.
They had that. Boy, whoever made that would be a bajillionaire in about 5 seconds. Yes.
I think there's probably a couple different things. Most people try to use cocaine to do that, but I don't think
I don't think that's a good tip to give anybody. But yeah, so fair enough. It's funny. You're talking about kind of, strategies and tips and tricks. And you mentioned that the populace, the people into cannabis, a lot of them, never have you seen an industry or space where so many people need so much education. I think that's actually why we met originally, which is essentially you have this great platform for, content that's educational, entertaining, etc. And then, of course, Wrazel, we're seeking to educate and inform people on, how to button themselves up for an investment opportunity or even coaching investors on what makes a good opportunity. We're often teaching our audiences the same things.
It's an interesting space because there's so many things happening so quickly that, even just and I want to let you in a little secret too after this, but just the in-dispensary play, it's not just customers that are going through there. It's potential investors. It's, brands, distributors. There's so different people that are walking through that door besides just the consumer. So we like to think that our platform is engaging. I mean, I've sat inside a dispensary and watched a brand sit there for 30 minutes waiting for the next appointment. And so we, our advertising spectrum of partners is everything from companies like yourself who are investment based and really network based to try to plug in people to hiring firms to you name it. You know what I mean? It's the gamut. And you know what? Because of the size of our network, we're able to actually attract non-endemic advertisers. So we just did a little Dicky promo with FXX, and we've worked with Showtime and companies like DoorDash and a few others that are, I don't want to say like totally cannabis-based companies, but their services, or if you will, are parallel to the cannabis space. And
right.
I mean, especially right now, could you imagine, DoorDash, all those dining apps are doing great.
Yeah. I mean, and as they should, and, it makes a lot of sense to kind of, especially if your brand fits it. I mean, I guess that's the main thing is if your brand fits that sort of, that image, yes, partner with other people who are going to basically take advantage of that, right? So you can take advantage of it together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit tougher because most dispensaries want to, stick to the brands that they're selling. So we have to be a little bit more specific with brands. But when we have a non-endemic, that like a show, it's easier to, kind of put it out across all the different locations equally, so that, and then nobody really even pays any mind, and it's not an obtrusive or offensive advertisement. So it's really, our platforms coming together have really provided us a robust feature. You bring all the content and the culture, and they bring the technology and the know-how.
Yeah, it's a very logical partnership that makes total sense.
That's kind of how we approached it. I mean, neither one of us really needed to be together, but we saw the value in coming together as partners and, really as a service to the industry, because as the industry is growing, it's just, you have all these little companies that are trying to compete against each other, and it's hard for the brands or the consumers to really figure out who they want to partner with. And this way it just eliminates that choice, by us coming together, it just puts everything in the same bucket.
Yep. It also makes it hard for investors to make good decisions. Well, that's if there's all these little guys or gals, little businesses around. A good piece of advice I think could give to business owners is, if there is a partner who can really amplify what you're doing and put you in a more enviable position with regards to investment, I would seriously consider that if I was a business owner, especially in cannabis, for all the reasons Danny's illustrated.
And you got to I think the biggest thing that helped our deal go through is that myself and Jacobs both just parked our egos, and, so many times you want to hold out for that multiplier. I mean, the deal was definitely one of a long-term play deal. I mean, we didn't hit the jackpot right out of the gate. I mean, we were both still functioning businesses that were going for rounds. And actually the investors were the ones that kind of said, hey, we've looked under both your guys' hoods. You guys both have amazing things that you can offer, and together you could be unstoppable. And it just really made one of those deals. I've done a lot of deals, like my 7th business that I've taken, and gotten acquired or sold. And it's, it's either a big cash payout or an elimination of competition, or, in this case, it was a synergy one where we weren't really going into it for that purpose. But then once the idea was kind of prefaced for us, we laid all the cards on the table. It was like, man, this just makes too much sense. We're all good people. We all know what we're doing. And together we have a much bigger hand on the space. That's
it. And you've got to be looking for opportunities like that, even when things are good, especially when they're good.
Yeah, it's a hard time, having done it a few times. I mean, if I could give any advice to people that are on their first time or second time around is, it's always better to have the bird in the hand than 2 in the bush, And so you think you can do better. I mean, I owned a domain called skateboards.com back in the day, and I owned it. I operated it. I built it up to a multi-million-dollar company. And then I had VC funds come in and we kind of separated it from the parent company that I had. And right after we formed the company, we got this ridiculous offer of $15 million, and we all said no. We all were like, no. I think we were doing $6 million a year in revenue. We were 18% profitable. We had low overhead, and we weren't even touching the product. We had worked a drop ship arrangement, so we were just basically having to run customer service, is more or less, and keep the website pumped, and because everything was automated.
Right.
And 2008 came, and guess what happened? That folded because, domain names like that became irrelevant. People could put any domain they want out at that point and put whatever marketing behind it. And so we passed up a $15 million offer. So anytime you get that offer, my suggestion to you is to take it.
Yes, that's usually my suggestion to people we work with too, if that happens to them.
Investment size is different, but like if you're getting an acquisition offer or someone to buy you out offer,
you might
go do something.
Seriously, you better strongly consider that. Yes, it takes money to make money. You got to bet big to win big. All the cliches definitely apply, but I'm telling you, winning big is subjective.
It really is. So, it really is. I didn't do bad in that whole transaction.
No,
I still did. But we could have immediately done it, and we have something like that that's working right now, where we're probably going to be able to. You only get so many opportunities at unicorns. Anytime you can build a business and sell it, I call that a unicorn, because it's just not that often that you can build something that people want to buy. So if you see a unicorn, grab it. Don't let it run away.
That's exactly right. And speaking of kind of positioning yourself to find for those unicorns to be found or built, a big part of what you guys do, of course, is create content. And obviously you partner with different places and things of that nature. Tell us a little bit about the creative process, because I'm really interested from your point of view, because what you're making is specific to cannabis companies, and specific for the most part for dispensaries, and then of course other outlets where you are able to see that. Are you seeing any shift in trends over the last few months in terms of how people are creating content, or what kind of content is being put out there?
That's a great question. We had the benefit of, when we started out, digital out of home and over the top really wasn't necessarily on the tip of everybody's tongues.
Right.
You had Apple TV, you had Netflix. Netflix was really the kind of the lone one out there. And you had Hulu, and consumers were starting to bite on cutting the cable, if you will.
Yeah.
And what we ended up building was an OTT play for Cannabis Club TV. And, there's like multiple levels of content production. There's the full bore, like high dollar production. And then there's everything down to like, I don't know I have a kid, I have a 12-year-old. He watches YouTube streams of these gamers.
Oh yeah. Just reaction channels. I got on my little webcam and whatever, and off I go.
It's poorly produced content, but highly engaging.
People eat it.
Yeah, people will sit so for example, in Cannabis, we may have a show that's, and lengths of shows are changing. You got Quibi that just came out, and they're pumping out 8-minute episodes. And, really what it's all based off is that people have a much shorter attention span, and the traditional method of 6 minutes to 8 minutes of content, 2 to 4 minutes of advertising, that regimen is kind of lost its scope on people. And so, I'm seeing people that started off doing really poorly produced content are now stepping up their game. And then there's just, in the cannabis space, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is the curation of all this great content. There's all these people making such amazing content, from cooking shows to reality shows to how to grow to, what is CBD to casually. We have 80 plus different channels of content, and, really what we're trying to do or what we have done is aggregate that content so consumers can watch it all in one place. So they can either go to our website, they can either watch it on our app, they can go into the dispensary and watch it. Eventually we'll have an OTT play. I'm looking at things like when we first jumped in 4 years ago, device-driven OTT was where everything was. Fire Stick, Apple TV. Yeah. Now those are gone, and now it's all app-based in smart TVs. And like I said, I have a 12-year-old. That's going away. You can now just be on your phone. Oh, I like this, and fling it right up to your TV, and you watch it on your TV. So content is really portable now too. So people can watch content on any device and move it around in between other devices. And, during this COVID lockdown, what I've really been focusing on is harnessing social simulcasting. And so being able to do a Zoom to a Facebook Live like you are right now is technology at its finest, right? Well, I want to take that out and be able to simulcast to all of our social channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram Live, YouTube, Twitch. I mean, I'm simulcasting your stream right now to our Twitch account.
Yep.
So when you ask me about content creation, a lot of it's all going to be, a lot of it is live driven stuff, really taking a page out of gamers books, as far as just sitting in front of a TV and gaming, but then taking that to content production. So, we're looking to use our social platforms to bring content to people on like a regular schedule. So we're doing IG lives with people, we're doing IGTVs, we're bundling those, we're post editing them. And so this period of downtime has really let us as a company expand our footprint into social and get a little bit more engaging. And so on top of that, people are now making content for our social channels, 4-minute clips, 2.5-minute clips, things that go back to a website after it's done watching. So it's a pretty quickly evolving space with content manufacturing, and you don't have to spend a ton of money to be a content manufacturer. You can do it pretty budget.
Yeah. Yes. It's kind of a perfect storm in a way, everything happening in this region with regards to, being able to create more content at an efficient, effective level without a lot of production costs, basically. Like you're saying, I think that it's, you want to make stuff that's unique to each platform, but you can do that a lot more easily, at least in my opinion, with video. Because you can adjust it. Oh, well, I'm Twitter, so my max is, a minute and 20 seconds. Well, cool. So I'm not going to post this thing unless I go live on Twitter. But for a video, maybe I take a clip from a longer form video that was 20 minutes. I take a minute of that. I use it as a tool to not only plug the episode and plug our channel and our brand, plug the other person's brand, and plug the topic.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen is the collaborative efforts of people. And you take those little clips, we call them trailers, and you put trailers out there. And then, I think the biggest thing for anybody that's manufacturing content, or in our case, aggregating content, is you have to pay. The beauty of everything is data. And so you really have to watch the data and what people are interacting with. Are they reacting to your content? Are they not reacting to your content? And you have to do a series of A/B testing things as far as putting pieces of content out. Like when we first started jumping in, I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, we had a pretty robust Instagram handle and we never really went live or did anything with IGTV. So when we started getting into that rhythm, we started realizing that presentation matters. So like for IGTV posts, we had to make sure we had a good cover photo that was going to draw attention to people wanting to watch it. Same thing for IG Lives. You couldn't we have 55,000 people on our Instagram, but you go live, you might only have 200 people that are going live. But if you do a story with a countdown timer, letting people know that you're going to be coming on, and you do some prepared graphics, all of a sudden you get more viewership because now you're letting people know ahead of time. And so the content game has changed. When we were growing up, it was all programmatic. Like everybody sat down at 8:00 and watched the show.
That's right.
Not so much anymore. We can watch shows at will when we want to. And so I think using social to do that has been pretty interesting for us. And we've gotten a ton of interaction. I mean, we're jumping followers daily, and that's the game too. You're going to lose people and you're going to win people. You got to just find that delta of what works and pay attention to the data, because that's how you're going to be successful as a content manufacturer these days.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I also think it's personalizing it, yes, and mixed with the data analysis. In that regard, you really can do a lot of different things. That and maximizing your content, right? Making it efficient in all the ways, right? That's why, like you, I come from the school of, okay, if we're going to talk anyways, why don't we just record it?
Yeah.
Let's just see what that happens. Hey, let's go live too, because that'll bring attention to our conversation and, and what we're doing in our companies. And then it's like, oh, well, I have an editing team and I have some people that can work with us to really, take out snippets or trailers, like you say. Oh, wait, we should modify them so that they look appropriate for each platform, right?
Sure.
And so it's all those steps that are, they seem like a lot, but really once you get the kind of machine rolling, it's easy, or it's easier.
Well, I mean, I did a decade in radio broadcasting. And so initially for me, I started doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And started interviewing people. Right as COVID hit, I started turning up the episodes and I started talking to different people. And then it just wasn't enough for me. And, so then I started understanding Zoom a little bit better. And then I started going, well, I want to take Zoom and I want to go live. And you've done a great job. You're broadcasting this to Facebook right now. And, I went down a totally different path. I wanted to simulcast across, 4 or 5 different social platforms. And so, you're right. And the beauty of doing things like this live is, like with my podcast, for example, I just tip and tail and publish. I don't really have to do much post. Nope. For my podcast, I signed up for a software called Audio Burst. So that creates little snippets of audio for me to pump out. And, if you just, Google's a powerful thing, man. You just start Googling some stuff and it'll help you. And then, ask help. One of the things, if anybody's watching this or listens to this, like, man, reach out to me. I'm down to help people out. I love teaching people how I make chocolate chip cookies. I know that I'm going to make them the best personally, but you just never know who you're going to help out and what they're going to actually accomplish. And I think, that's the beauty of cannabis as well. I feel, traditional business people are a little bit more closely held with their secrets, but I kind of feel like if I show somebody and they go off and they become bigger or better than me, because let's face it, some of it's just luck and timing. Mm-hmm. Awesome. You know what I mean? Like it just makes me want to work harder. And so, I just, right now we live in such an amazing time. I mean, albeit we're kind of all on lockdown right now due to this disease, but if you're not taking this chance right now, I put this on Facebook the other day, Jordan, I'll give him a shout out. Like, if you're not taking this time to reinvent yourself or repackage what you are or how you are, like I've done a few different consultings to people that I just put out there like, hey, if you're having a rough time, hit me up. And there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs and, and I just said, hey, my advice to you is this: when you were in junior high and you had that sweetheart and then she or he moved away and you had nothing you could do about it, you eventually got over it. Look at, and I know we're all hurting financially right now, and I'm not, belittling anybody's financial losses, but you have a chance right now to restart yourself. If you were doing something that you didn't like, or you were working at a job that didn't appreciate you, or you had employees that you didn't appreciate back, don't go fall right back into the same rhythm when we get out of this. Like, find a different path, find something different to do. Use this opportunity to reinvent yourself and to repackage yourself. Because if you're not, the world stopped for the first time in my life ever.
Yes.
And if you're not taking advantage of this time that it stopped, then, shame on you for that.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't echo those sentiments anymore, Danny, honestly. Like I don't know what you're doing if you're not right now kind of reevaluating, retooling, readjusting if needed, or just really taking advantage of what you were doing well and adding some more kind of tools to the toolkit, as I like to call it. For me, this has all been very kind of interesting in a way because it's forced me to do what I had been coaching everybody to do for all this time. And then I'd done myself even prior to that, but I never kind of, I don't know, like there was always things that I put in front of it because, the business needs to grow here and I'm working on this and working on that. All excuses, all BS excuses too, for that matter. Like I need to be doing this. And so this was the opportunity to do it. And I'm just thankful that I have a team like Wrazel to support it. And it fits our business model too. So it's kind of it's very much a win-win in that regard. It's not just, it's personally fulfilling, something that I know Brian Haller, wanted to do, but it's also fulfilling a need for the company that I represent. And it's helping other people in our partnership. So yeah, like imagine that. My ego could have prevented all of that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we first kind of went into this situation, I travel, I'm on the road, usually 2 to 3 weeks out of the month, every month. And so I did social media stuff. I did, we were already kind of on our path of what we were doing, but sometimes it takes something like this to go, okay, like there was nothing else for me to do. Like I go out to dispensaries, I go to events, I speak places, I go to trade shows, I'm that guy. And all of a sudden that all stops. Well, I could just sit back and not do anything, and just roach in my house. I mean, I definitely have gotten a lot of home projects done. I've built probably close to 200 feet of fence, in my backyard. Just think that you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Like you can't. I surf, right? So it's like we were shut down from surfing. We were shut down from everything. And sometimes people's mental state, it's pretty easy to just throw your hands up and go, I can't do anything else. But I took a chance. I do, as well as you, like to talk, obviously, and I like to get in front of people and I like to perform. And so this gave me a chance to do that. And at first Enlighten was a little bit, they didn't quite understand the social game. They didn't quite understand what we were trying to do. And I said, look, give me a month and this much money, just a little bit of money to get this thing going. And, I'll show you. And we're in third week now of us doing our production. We've already, between Enlighten and Cannabis Club TV, we've gained about 20,000 new followers on our social media. We're getting good engagement on our videos, and it took a little while. And, I think more than anything else, if you can take this time to fail repetitively, not repeat it, but fail numerous times, don't repeat the same thing over and over. That's the definition of insanity. But if you can just put yourself out there, like when you think you've gone so far that you can't go anymore, you got to try to like push yourself a little further. And, that doesn't mean you have to work 18-hour days or you don't have to, ignore your family, but get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. I tell people all the time, if you're not uncomfortable, I'm such a comfortable person that it takes a lot for me to get uncomfortable, and the only way I get uncomfortable is by trying things that I've never done before and just blowing it and then just keep going at it until I get it down,
Yeah, and that's a great way to kind of come full circle, because one thing I do know a lot of professionals get crossed up by and overthink, it's not so much getting started, it's doing it perfectly, right?
Nothing's perfect.
There is no perfect. So like go watch my early episodes of this, and this is only from like a few weeks back, right?
Sure.
You don't see as good of a backdrop. I'm probably saying and a little bit more, and I'm somebody who's been, trained in a lot of this stuff. So if I'm screwing up on that level, I know that it's tough for anybody, no matter how polished or how much of a rookie you are. So the biggest hurdle to get over, in my opinion, is that first episode or that first piece of content or that first time you're on the camera like this.
Yeah.
Right. If you can get past that, do that just a few times, the rest of it, you'll be a lot easier to critique. And gosh, Danny, you and I could talk about this for a long time. I know you and I can run our mouths quite well. I know that very well. And I look forward to doing it again soon. But before we go too long, let's make sure everybody knows where to find you, Enlighten and Cannabis Club TV, beyond those great handles they see on your backdrop.
Yes. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know we've had a couple, technology fault starts. We were supposed to do this last week.
Yep. And,
as somebody that is on both sides of the screen like this, sometimes you just have to take a mulligan and be like, hey, we're going to do this again. So I appreciate you staying on it. I've been following what you're doing. You're doing great work. And it takes collaborative efforts like this for us all to grow. And so you can find us on Instagram at those two handles you see on the screen in front of you, at Cannabis Club TV, at Get Enlightened TV. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on YouTube under Cannabis Club TV. We're on Twitch right now under Cannabis Club TV. Look for us to be doing big things on Twitch. We can do viewing parties. We can do interactive stuff. It's a really robust platform. And so I'm hoping to come back in a couple weeks and give you some updates on how we're doing with stuff. And I'm going to flip the script on you, bro. I'm going to bring you in on one of our shows.
Well, I look forward to that too. And, obviously, guys, go check out Cannabis Club TV and Enlighten and what they're doing. They really are making some really great stuff, and they're making some good moves. And, Danny and Mark and both their teams are very much worth your time. So go check them out. You can also find them on Wrazel, obviously. You can find me there too. Wrazel Inc. on most of our social platforms. Wrazel, W-R-A-Z-E-L, as you can see back there. And then, of course, I'm Brian Holler, so you can find me on most social platforms at Holler1012. That's Holler1012. Or under Brian Holler, which first name not so unique, last name very unique. So go ahead and take a look if you can. Danny, I so look forward to doing this again with you. Thank you, brother, for being on the show with me today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you again next time. Thank you all for joining us on Connecting Cannabis, sponsored by Wrazel. We'll see you next time.
Take care.